Hello friends, this video is on some American classics and this is video number 1. I'm not going to tell you which classic we're going to talk about, you'll have to find out for yourself. This is a controversial novel published in 1951. This became a rage. The novel was originally published for adults, but the adolescents loved it. The parents hated it because the book was about a rebellious adolescent feeling alienated in a hypocritical society. The book uses bad language. It shows an adolescent wanting to leave home. He's expelled from school. I think you got it. The book is J.D. Salinger's The Catcher in the Rye. Very famous, archetypal American novel, eh? The protagonist is very famous. Again, archetypal American, like Huckleberry Finn. The protagonist is 16-year-old Holden Caulfield. 16-year-old Holden Caulfield is telling his own story. But he is telling it in such an irreverent manner. He doesn't care for adults. He doesn't care for values. He doesn't care for the way a story should be told. He speaks in a very colloquial style, in New York dialect. And he speaks like this. This is the opening of the book. If you really want to hear about it, the first thing you'll probably want to know is where I was born. You see, that is how all stories begin. And what my lousy childhood was like. Don't glorify childhood, okay? Don't say great romantic childhood. I had a lousy childhood. You'll probably want to know about that. And how my parents were occupied and all before they had me. So what work they did. And all that David Copperfield kind of crap. Look at what he's saying. David Copperfield is like, it's crap. All that autobiography thing, I'm not going to tell you. This is what he means. But I don't feel like going into it if you want to know the truth. That is not what I'm saying, okay? This is how the book begins. Now, what happens to Holden Caulfield at the beginning of this book? When he begins telling the story, what's actually happening to him? He is expelled from school. What school? Pencey Preparatory School. In the fictional Hagerstown in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a eastern province in the US. And you know what? He is expelled from that school. It's a very expensive, exclusive private school. He's expelled from that school on that day that he tells us about. This is the 4th time he's expelled from a school. Okay? So let me ask you another question about Holden and his life. Who is Ward Stradlater? Ward Stradlater. Any idea? He is Holden's roommate in Pencey Prep. Holden's roommate, but he hates Stradlater more or less. He likes him, but Stradlater has changed of late. He is rather insensitive. And Holden thinks that all the school boys in his school are phony, hypocritical. They don't show what they really feel. Oh, and you know what? Stradlater is dating Jane Gallagher this next day, Saturday evening. This is Friday, okay? Stradlater is dating Jane Gallagher Saturday evening and Holden is not pleased with it. Holden likes Jane, kind of. Okay? Now, where does Holden wander for 3 days? In what place? You know he is in Pennsylvania, in Hagerstown, in Pencey Preparatory School. But from there, he goes somewhere else. It is New York City. The whole novel is about New York City also. The hypocrisies of New York City. New York is like a character. New York is spread out before Holden. Adult New York. Full of its pretensions. And Holden is unable to adjust with the pretensions of New York people. Okay? So, He is wandering 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. On Monday, the story ends. What does Holden not want to do? That is your next question. What does Holden not want to do? He does not want to go home. What does he want to do then? Instead, he wants to go west. Going west is for the Americans a big dream. It indicates the American dream. You can go west and get whatever you want there. That is what the Americans thought before the 20th century. And go west always means for them, make money, be independent. Okay. So Holden has been expelled from school and he does not want to really go home for obvious reasons because his parents won't be very pleased. That too, he's expelled from school for the 4th time. Now the title, The Catcher in the Rye. Where is it taken from? It is taken from a poem. Which poem? Robert Burns' poem. No, do you know the title? Coming Through the Rye. Coming Through the Rye. Now what is the meaning of this? Catcher in the Rye. In Coming Through the Rye, there is this phrase that Holden misinterprets. Holden says it wrongly. Catcher in the Rye. Catcher in the Rye refers to, and he also gets this image. In a rye field, children are falling and he is imagining that he is catching hold of these children and saving them. Catcher in the Rye is a novel about Holden Caulfield, an adolescent who is having struggles growing up. He does not want to grow up. That is the thing. He does not want to grow up. And he is afraid of losing innocence. He's afraid of joining this phony adult world. And there is a sister he has. Do you know his name? Holden's sister's name? Phoebe. Phoebe is not with him. She is at home and she is his closest human being closest to him. And Phoebe represents innocence, childhood, which Holden is trying to preserve. Holden is trying to preserve in himself innocence and childhood. And he is not eager to grow up. And for him, Phoebe represents that childhood that he is forced to leave behind. So there is another important thing in the novel. Whose left-handed baseball mitt means mitten, like a glove. Whose left-handed baseball mitt does Holden have? It is his brother, Allie's. Allie Caulfield. Allie died of leukemia when he was 11, like 3 years ago. And Holden at that time was 13. On the mitt, Allie had written poems in green ink. Allie had written poems while on the baseball field. He could read these poems. But Allie is no more. Today, Holden is remembering Allie, wanting Allie to protect him. Allie is like Holden's catcher in the rye. Allie is like the savior of Holden. Okay, next question. Whom does Holden refer to as visiting him on weekends in his Jaguar? Jaguar is a big, expensive car. Somebody visits him regularly on weekends. Who? D.B. Caulfield. D.B. Caulfield is his brother, another brother. And D.B. is a very successful screenwriter in Hollywood. He's a screenwriter. He has written a very famous short story book also that Holden admires actually. He admires D.B.'s short story book. And D.B. for him is a symbol of wealth as well as hypocrisy. D.B. he admires, but D.B. also represents for him whatever he does not want to become. There's a famous line about D.B. and Hollywood that Holden says, if there is one thing I hate, it's the movies. Don't even mention them to me. He does not actually mean he hates the movies. He means he hates the adult, hypocritical, materialistic world. Incidentally, J.D. Salinger never sold the film rights of Catcher in the Rye. Catcher in the Rye was not made into a movie until very, very, very recently. Okay. What is a question about Central Park Lagoon that Holden is obsessed with? Holden is always asking to himself one question. What is it? Asking others also. Where do the ducks in Central Park Lagoon migrate to in winter? Where do the ducks in Central Park Lagoon go in winter? Actually, it's a symbol. They migrate to the south. Many of them go south. Others just remain there. They take the risk and remain there. This is the question in Holden's life. Should he go or remain? Should he migrate? Should he go or remain? I feel Holden is like Biff in our Death of a Salesman. Holden is like Quentin in The Sound and the Fury, like Huckleberry Finn. All of them wanted to go so that they can establish their identity, so that they can be independent, make money. These are all parts of American dream. Now, who is Sunny, whom Holden meets at Edmund Hotel? Sunny is a prostitute who's almost his age. Sunny is almost his age. She's a girl. He's interested when somebody presents him with a prostitute. But when he sees her, he feels disgusted. He just wants to talk to her and treat her with respect like a human being. But Sunny does not want that. Sunny is used to selling her flesh and making money. And she tries to get even more money from Holden for not having sex with her. With whom does Holden go on a date? Sally Hayes, Hayes. Sally Hayes used to be his girlfriend in the past. Now he again meets her. And they go to a cheesy play called I Know My Love. Which of these places does Holden visit? He visits Museum of Natural History. Museum of Natural History, he likes to go there because nothing changes there. Everything is the same. Holden does not want anything to change in his life either. You understand? There is an Indian room in Museum of Natural History where Holden remembers he has gone a lot during Saturdays in his childhood, and he goes there again. All this happens in 3 days, okay? The time that he takes to move from Pencey Prep to his home. At the end of the novel, Phoebe also meets him at a museum, but now it's the Museum of Art. In between, Holden reaches home. He goes home and sees Phoebe at night without his parents knowing. Which of these did Holden buy for Phoebe? It is a children's record called Little Shirley Beans that he buys. He buys a children's record and knows that Phoebe will like it. Phoebe is younger than him, 6 years younger than him. And he wants her to remain as a child. And he buys her a children's record. Why did Holden run away from Mr. Antolini's house? Antolini is his former English teacher. At the beginning of the novel, he visits another professor's, history professor, I think, Mr. Spencer. Then he goes to Mr. Antolini's house, where Antolini is actually kind to him. He's nice to him. But Holden runs away at night thinking Mr. Antolini is gay. He finds Antolini stroking his forehead at night, and he thinks that he should escape. And now the last question. Who rides the carousel at the end of the novel? It's Phoebe. Phoebe arrived with her suitcase at the Museum of Art, ready to go away with him. But Holden is not ready to take her. Holden is disillusioned. He does not want to go out into the adult world again. He wants to go home. He convinces Phoebe that they'll go to the Central Park Zoo, where they see a few animals, and she's angry with him. And then he gets her to ride the carousel. She reaches out for a golden ring, which is a symbol of her innocence, which Holden is trying to preserve. He sits on the park bench, watching her, feeling happy. And then there is an epilogue at the end, where he says that he got sick, and he is now in some institution, we think, where DB, as I told you before, visits him every weekend. He's going to join a new school, and We don't know whether he'll have the same experiences there. Probably yes. But life will go on like that. This is about the archetypal American adolescence, the desire to be free and independent, yet in conflict with the society. That's about The Catcher in the Rye. Hope you enjoyed the video.